I'm still processing what happened. Writing about it and sharing my writing helps me to look at the personal issues, the social issues, the philosophical issues, and the other aspects that come from expressing communication, sharing communication, describing your experiences. I'm still definitely thinking about what happened to me. This is part 3 of my essay, Aftermath. Enjoy. How is it that people can do the kinds of things that they do? How is it that people can do the things that they did to me? I've talked about the event with many people, and one thing that stood out to me was the idea that what happened was not necessarily personal. I highly doubt that the people who did what they did knew who I really was, and if it really was that they did know me in some capacity, that it still wasn't necessarily me that was being targeted. Of course, I have a hard time with it because I do feel like I was targeted, and I feel like the people around me didn't care to do anything, to let the police know, to stop the incident, to even give me encouragement throughout the painful process. It does feel like I was targeted, and when they took the flash drives and ransacked through my personal notebooks, it felt to me that it was very personal, and it was vindictive and cruel. They didn't need the flash drives, my life's work. I can understand the idea that it doesn't do any good to speculate and conjecture on something that will never have closure and something that will probably never be explained to me, and yet it felt so personal what they did, the way that they invaded my personal space. I have tried to look at it from a variety of perspectives, and I have come to one conclusion, that is, that most of the things that they stole can be replaced, and I am incredibly lucky to still have my writing. It is also true that what they did is on them, not on me. If they wanted to have their depraved drug and sex-filled parties at my apartment, well, just so you know, in an alternate universe I might have joined you. Of course, I am being completely sarcastic and sardonic, but the point is that if they wanted to be disturbed and sick, that is on them, and they are the ones that have to live with themselves. I don't like what they did, but my sense is that there is so much of what they did that was out of my control, and what they did will eventually catch up with them. It may not be in my current case, given that the police couldn't do anything, but it may be that later on, if it hasn't happened already, they will definitely have a consequence and a comeuppance. None of this is easy for me. I've been processing it every day, trying to figure out everything going on, and I don't have all the clarity that I would hope for and hope to have, but I care about what I'm doing. I care about the guitar playing. I care about writing. I care about creativity and my work, job. Because of that, none of this is on me. What happened was completely out of my control, and that is what people have been encouraging me to realize. What happened was not my fault. Of course, for a while, I did blame myself. Why didn't I have better security, for instance? Why did I trust people there when they were the ones dealing drugs? But what I realized was I believed that I was very safe. The way that I described it, there were multiple fail-safes that could have happened. For one thing, why didn't anybody call the police at any point in time throughout the entire process? Why didn't anybody talk to the police after the fact? Why didn't anyone intervene? Where was management, and how did they miss a burglary like this? How was it that the perpetrators made no mistakes and were not caught? There are a million ways to look at what could have gone wrong for the perpetrators that didn't, and nobody heard them drilling through the bolt lock. Give me a break. As I said at the time, I didn't know that the people around me held me in such high contempt. I would have thought that they would at least try to do the right thing if push came to shove, but instead they left me out to dry and left me in the lurch. It is easy for me to say that I processed it and have come to conclusions, but it's not completely true. Because I care about the things that I'm doing, those things matter, and I will move forward with those things without developing any bitterness or reason to stop. But of course, there is anger about what happened because it was so unnecessary and needless. And while I can definitely rationalize it better than I could before, I feel as though what happened was very cruel, and it will still be a while before I let it go. I don't know when I'll forgive. There is a lot to still process. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't ask for anything like this, and nor did I deserve it, and nor was it my fault. It might be that it will be a while before I'm able to completely process it. but I feel as though it will take a while, given that what they did was so mean. It is personal, and it does feel personal, even if they were not targeting me specifically. As I said before, what they did really hurt, and it created a lot of pain for me, and I have to live with that. They inflicted pain on me. People were telling me that I couldn't let them win, but I feel like for a little while at least they did win. When I lashed out at myself in a way I never want to experience again, that was the lowest that I had been in years. And there were several breakdowns throughout the process where I would be very harsh on myself around the people that I care about. It was a situation where I was definitely full of doubt and pain and anguish, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know when it would get better or if it would get better. That was an incredibly lonely feeling, and even though I know now the support of the people who care about me, it was still a very tough thing to have to experience, and even though I had plenty of help along the way, I've never felt so lonely. What is really amazing about what the perpetrators did is that they did it to someone who already didn't have a lot, someone who was low income, as well as someone with a disability, with mental illness. The part that I haven't figured out is why they would hurt someone so substantially and significantly, someone who barely had the means to do anything anyway. I just think that that is an added level of viciousness, that they would do that. It's not just the break-in and significant theft, felony charges if caught, but the nature of the crime. So I'm not kidding when I say that for a little while they did win. I was living with very powerful emotions, feeling like I was a failure, feeling like I wasn't doing enough, feeling like I should be better off than I am, and that I should be better and do more. I would say that part of what was triggered with all of this was what I really believe about myself, feeling like I am not enough as I am. And so what makes that incredibly difficult is that I have been actively working on myself. I have been working on myself substantially to try to better my life, and yet still feeling that I am not enough. Why is it that people can get away with theft and burglary towards a low-income person, yet I still have to pay rent to a trash apartment complex? I still have to pay bills and clean up the mess, but life isn't fair, right? And it's just the way it is? One thing that I also think about is that there was no justice with this, because the people that did it are not caught. So why is it that I have to bust my ass at my job, or on my mental health and endless therapy, while you get people that can break into people's houses, steal all of their most valuable and cherished possessions, do drugs, have illicit sex, and completely destroy someone's life? How is it that they get a free pass while for me, I have to continually grind in order to get anywhere, and still not get anywhere? It is something that I have been thinking about, because I know that I've been working really hard to better my life, and was taking all of the steps. What was so hard about what happened was that for quite a while, I have not been able to cope in the way that I normally would. I really would like to play my electric guitar or make a fun YouTube video. I am still doing those things in some capacity. I play my acoustic guitar and make videos on my iPad, but I had very nice equipment that I was very proud of and that I constantly and consistently used that I don't have anymore, and that is really difficult to contend with. I believe that there has to be some form of justice out there, some form of fairness. At least for the present moment, I feel like I am okay. I feel that things will get better. But so much of it is just so difficult to try to understand. So much of it makes me doubtful, and I am having a hard time getting over everything, even though I get the impression that I should be over it by now. It definitely feels overwhelming because I haven't fully processed it, despite my efforts. Like I said, with what they did get the best of me for a little while. But I will say that I have a specific goal in mind, which is to live the best life that I can, and that includes doing the things that I love, and spending time with the people that I love. And so what matters there is that regardless of what happened, I can continue to work towards those goals. A good way I described it to myself was that I get to decide what I do with this horrible event. I get to decide how I react, because I am still living, and I am still creating, and even though life flies by, I am able to do things deliberately and with a conscious, purposeful choice. None of it is easy. I didn't know that something like this could happen. And yet, I feel as though I will continue to move forward. I will continue to figure out what I need to do, and that is where the hope is. They won't get the best of me in the end, because I have chosen to move forward, and I have chosen to be the better person, and I don't think that the answer to life is to break into people's houses and do drugs in their sacred space and steal their spare change.